banks are the bedrock of any economy. In fact, that colossal structure we call the Federal Reserve is essentially a bank, except unlike other banks, it creates money. That's why it's referred to as the Bank of Banks. But what if I told you that every bank has the power to create money? Yes, you heard it right. Theoretically, you can set up a bank and start creating money. However, there's an easier way. Why spend so much money setting up a bank when you could launch a cryptocurrency and become a crypto billionaire overnight with a magical touch? That's what a lot of people have been doing recently. Interesting, isn't it? If cryptocurrencies seem like a scam to you, then you probably don't know much about banks. Therefore, in this video, we're going to look at 5 truths about money that banks don't want you to know. Because if everyone knew these, it could spell the end of this banking system. Or, as Henry Ford once said, it is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. Friends, the things I'm about to share will make this video one of the most important ones on our channel. I've been preparing for it for days, even if it meant staying up late into the night. I'm not going to ask much from you. We've already reached 1,000 subscribers, but we're still not reaching as many people as we would like. Could you please give this video a like and leave a small comment as a token of appreciation for our efforts? This will be the perfect reward for all our hard work. Thank you so much, dear friends. Now, let's get to the video. If you watch it till the end, you will learn the intricacies of today's banking system. So please, don't step away from the video. Even if you feel bored, these valuable insights may not come your way again. If we get 200 likes on this video, I'm considering releasing the follow-up video immediately. 1. Keeping your money in a bank signifies you're being scammed. Let me ask you a question. How much interest would you earn when you deposit your savings into a bank? At first glance, it seems like it should be at least a few percent to make any sense, right? However, when you look at the numbers, the reality is far from it. The best banks, like Citibank, offer a rate literally less than 0.5%. There are banks offering higher rates, but they're still less than 1%, which is evidence that you're being scammed. Think about it. While your money grows at a rate of 0.5%, inflation is at 2.5%. The intrinsic value of your asset is literally diminishing every year. Spending your money today is much better than keeping it in a bank. The purchasing power of your money will be far less in a few years compared to its current state. And when inflation skyrockets as it is now, asset prices, such as homes and stocks, increase exponentially as they have over the past year. A bank is a place to park your money, not to make money. Friends, this means that interest-bearing bank accounts do not earn you anything. They only help you preserve a certain portion of your money. 2. Every bank has the right to create money out of thin air. Buddy, this point is the most critical part of our video, so please don't forget to watch it till the end. Let me share a secret. If I told you that banks can also create money, you might look a bit skeptical. After all, the power to print money belongs only to the Federal Reserve, right? That's the source of the dollar, and they alone have the right to use that big printing machine. However, the banking system is a bit more complicated. Every bank in our country, and even worldwide, has the ability to create money to a certain extent, depending on how much money is deposited into that bank. Let's say you deposit $1,000 into Bank A. What do you think the bank will do with your money? It makes no sense to save it. They can't even pay your pitiful 0.5%. So the bank lends your money to someone else who, for example, wants to buy a car or a house, and it takes interest, usually much higher than the 0.5% it pays you. The average credit card interest rate is 20%. This is literally dozens of times higher than what the bank pays you. The real issue is that the bank will not tell you to whom it is lending your money. Whenever you check your account, the bank will show you that your money is still there and you can withdraw it at any time. So if your money is still in the bank, where did the bank get the money to lend to someone else? This is known as fractional reserve banking. Banks are allowed to hold only 10% of deposits and lend out the rest. When you deposit $1,000 into the bank creates another $900 and lends it to someone else, which brings the total amount to $1,900. The bank creates $900 out of thin air. This is not as difficult as you think because these are just numbers on a computer. Even though the $1,000 you deposited into the bank is shown in your account, that money has now been lent to someone else. Systemically, every deposit triggers the formation of new money, and the economy begins to grow like a bubble. This part is the most important part of this video, my friends. If you can understand this, you can solve the banking system. You have heard that banks have gone bankrupt, haven't you? After what I've told you, do you think you can form an idea of why they went bankrupt? We can explain this situation as follows. The bank lends the money it receives from millions of people like you to other people. Even though you see the money you deposited in your account, that money is no longer in the bank. And friends, in a place where rumors and crises spread very quickly, people line up to withdraw money from the bank to see that their money is safe. But the absence of money is an indication that the bank has now gone bust. 3. You can make money by borrowing from banks and investing. Look, in 2012, Mark Zuckerberg decided to finance his $5.95 million home in Palo Alto with a 30-year mortgage. At that time, despite being only 28 years old, he was recognized as the 40th richest person in the world and had a massive fortune of $15.6 billion. Now think, why would you go into debt when you have billions of dollars? Look at the man. He could buy a dozen $6 million houses in cash without batting an eye. So why would such a rich person take out a mortgage? Look, friends, we are talking about something tremendous here: free money. Yes, I know, it's hard to believe. Who would give free money to someone who's already a billionaire? Unless it's a charity, why would anyone give money to someone else for free? This situation is entirely related to interest rates. If you recall, we mentioned that banks only offer a ridiculously low return for you to understand what they can do with your money. They can't even beat inflation, so you're losing money in real terms. In this case, we are faced with the opposite scenario. Inflation rate in the US usually varies between 2.5% and 3%, so we can consider any debt below the inflation rate as free money. The mortgage rate Zuckerberg got was just over 1.05%. When you do the math, since the mortgage rate is below inflation, the bank actually ends up losing. Let's give an example so you don't have to be a math genius. Let's say you borrowed $1 million at an interest rate of 1.05%. Before the pandemic, the average return rate of a savings account was 2.4% and is now below 1%. But let's continue with 2.4% for this example. So, if you deposited this $1 million debt in another bank, you could earn $24,000 a year. Yet, your monthly payment to the bank that lent you the money would only be $10,500, which is 1.05% of the debt. Now, imagine doing the same thing with $100 million or maybe $1 billion. When you can get free money, you can use your own money for more profitable ventures. Of course, when we talk about small amounts, this strategy may not seem very meaningful because the difference created is not very large. However, in large amounts, 1%, 2%, or even 0.5% can make a difference of tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yes, friends, we've touched on a key point here. If you manage to borrow from the bank at an interest rate below inflation during times when inflation is sky high, the difference in between will return to your pocket as a bonus. So, in this case, the debt is actually working in your favor. Hold tight, we have many more tactics like this. Friends, I ask you a favor. If you have watched up to this point, would you make me happy by giving a like and making a small comment as a return for my efforts? I reply to all your comments. If you subscribe and also turn on notifications, you'll be immediately notified of the next video. 4. The richer you are, the more money you can borrow. Let's be realistic, friends. Banks are not charities after all. Like other businesses, their goal is to maximize profits. They have an obligation to answer to shareholders. If their business model is not profitable, how can they stay afloat? Therefore, they are less hesitant to lend money to someone with financial power. Let's say we are billionaires. Then the bank can sleep peacefully because no one thinks you won't be able to pay your debt. If something goes wrong, you can sell part of your business and repay your mortgage. This guarantees that lending money to you carries almost no risk. In fact, the evolution of the banking system over centuries has largely been determined by a particular customer base. Banks usually work with nobles or landowners who have large assets and generate constant income. Consider an alternative scenario of an average worker. They may get sick, become unable to work, or lose their job. Lending money to someone barely getting by can be extremely risky. Yes, it's easy to criticize banks for this, but how about thinking about it from a personal perspective? Would you feel more comfortable lending money to a friend who is barely getting by or to a friend who is a successful business person? Most likely, no matter how hard it seems, you would prefer the latter. So, my friend, if you want better loan terms, a lower mortgage rate, or a more favorable credit card rate, the first step should be to strengthen your financial situation. Banks use these low mortgage rates as a tool to build solid relationships with wealthy individuals and hope that these individuals will turn to them when a larger credit is needed. After all, why not if it's a win-win arrangement? But remember, new technologies, especially blockchain and cryptocurrencies, have the potential to revolutionize this system and democratize banking. And there's a good chance they will succeed to a certain extent. The fact is that banking today is as democratized as it allows almost everyone to access financial services. This is a significant change and progress compared to the situation 100 years ago. 5. Credit cards are the hidden superpowers of banks. Look, friends, 70% of credit card debtors in America say they won't be able to pay off their debts this year. Unlike a home loan, credit card debt doesn't work the same way. You don't have a low interest rate of 3.5% per year. No, brace yourself for a shock, because you're probably facing 20%. Now think, if you can't pay your debt on time right now, how will you pay it in a few months, in a world where interest has inflated it even more? You see, almost 70% of Americans are on the brink of this debt trap. 56% of respondents to surveys say they have struggled with credit card debt for at least a year. Most of these people expect to carry their debts for a few more years, while 20% think it will take them more than 3 years to pay off their debts. 8% don't even have an idea when they can pay off their debts. This is where banks make the most money because most people spend without thinking about the repayment plan. They are so attached to their standards of living that they are determined to maintain them, even if they can't afford it. That's why banks keep calling you, trying to sell you a brand new credit card. Don't get me wrong. Using credit cards responsibly is a great way to improve your credit score. However, if you lack financial discipline, avoiding the debt trap will be the healthiest solution. My dear friends, I am grateful if you have watched my video up to here. You have spent the most right 15 minutes of your life. I have thousands of systems to tell you like these videos. Please don't forget to subscribe to not lose each other. If you like this video, you'll definitely like this special playlist I've created just for you, which includes our most popular videos on work, investment, and the stock market. This could potentially change your life. Goodbye, friends. See you in the next video.